Alrighty then, this is a first time video for me, but I've finally come to the point where I need to voice my displeasure with the WWE over the past 6 months to a year. They've just been going downhill. They came out in January and promised things were going to be completely different. They were no longer going to be the authority. They still are. Then they brought in the wildcard rule. That seems to be out the window after only 1 week, 2 weeks, by the sounds of it. It's just becoming a joke. This week's Raw opened with Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Kofi Kingston all coming out to the ring, voicing their opinions on who's the better champion and challenger or whatever the hell they're talking about. Brock has turned the Money in the Bank briefcase into looking like a boombox. So he was coming out dancing to music, or I don't know, something music that was playing as well, or something as his theme. It's completely ridiculous. Yeah, so all three came out to have a coffee and a chat, as I've said to a couple of people online. This is just ridiculous. They need to open Raw with a match. The days of, wrestlers, superstars, whatever they want to call themselves, coming out and talking or whatever to open the show, it's just not needed. And the quicker you can get into some action, the better the fans are going to be, the more fans you're going to have, and it's going to be a much better product overall. We've just had All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing over the weekend, which has been a huge hit from all accounts. I've seen bits and pieces of it, and from what I've seen, it's a great product. They are really going to give the WWE a run for their money, and Vince better step up, because the product that Vince is putting out now is just utterly ridiculous. And Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, knows how bad it's been. He looks to now be in AEW, which is good. From all accounts, Sasha Banks is unhappy. She hasn't been on the roster since WrestleMania, understandably, losing the women's tag team champions to the Iconics, or the Idiotics, as I like to call them. Can't stand them, even though they're Australian. Can't stand them. Untalented, not worthy of being main event. Send them back to NXT. Yeah, not worth it. They are. Anyway, back to Brock and Rollins and all that. They came out. Brock decided he was going to announce who he was facing, who he was going to cash the case in against later on. So I think at that point Seth had left the ring, or left at that point, and left Brock and Kofi in the ring doing whatever. I really wasn't paying attention. I just have it on just to look up at every now and then. If something interests me, I watch that bit and then go back to whatever I'm doing, playing a game or whatever. So I zoned in and out of whatever this was. Anyway, Dolph Ziggler comes out, beats up on Kofi, continuing from last week. And then Xavier Woods made the save or something, and Dolph hightailed it out of there. They went to an ad break. They came back. Dolph came back out and was being a whiny little crybaby on how it should be him with the title and not Kofi. And again, I wasn't really paying attention. That's how bad I am feeling against WWE at this point in time. So anyway, that took 50 minutes of a 3-hour show where we had yet to have an official wrestling match. That's just not good enough. Next out, we had Shane and what's his name, Drew McIntyre coming out. And again, they went to an ad break, came back, and Shane brought out Roman Reigns' cousin or somebody in the Anoa'i family. I think that's how you pronounce it. Relative of Roman Reigns. Had a match with him. Sorry, I'm looking down at notes that I took. Had a match with him, Roman Reigns' relative. Roman Reigns came out toward the end and made the save. Again, not really the sort of match you want to have on a show, especially after such a great pay-per-view event from what I can see will be very tough competition against the WWE. Anyway, same old Roman, Shane, Drew McIntyre. We've had it over and over and over again. We need new matches. Use the talent that you've got. Brock comes back out with his Money in the Bank boombox, briefcase, whatever you call it. And Kofi and Seth, or just Kofi, I don't know, came out. One or both came out. I know Kofi came out. Brock came back out to reveal who he was going to choose to face. In doing so, Paul started reading from the contract. Started reading from the contract, and stated that Brock had a year in which he could use the briefcase. Now, apparently Brock doesn't watch Raw either. Has no idea what the hell was going on. He didn't know he had a year. He starts beating up on Heyman with the paper contract, beating up on Paul, going, "Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know such and such and such." So he decides he's not going to use the case now. He walks off, walks to the back. Then we get R-Truth coming out with Carmella through the crowd, being chased by the unused talent. Comes through the ring, gets pin attempts a couple of times, kicks out and keeps running back toward the back. Now, just jokingly, I would love to see Brock cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase against this 24/7 title, this utter useless, worthless joke title that they introduced last week. I would love to see Brock defend that and have him defend that 24/7, because honestly, he is a shit champion. When he held the heavyweight title or the Unibet, whatever one he held, and he was off doing God knows what, not at Raw for weeks on end, not defending champion, to have him defend that anytime, any place, that would be interesting to watch. Anyway, that was just a little musing I came up with. Next, we had Becky Lynch with Nikki Cross versus the Iconics. Becky got the pin after I don't know how long. It was a good match. Nikki was in the ring for most of the match. I think they should put Becky and Nikki together as a tag team. They're both from the UK. They're both, good-looking women. Could work. After the match, Lacey Evans came out and restarted her catwalk career, walking down the ramp toward the ring and then doing nothing, saying nothing, turning around, walking straight back up the ring, which is what she'd been doing before challenging Becky the last few weeks. Pointless gimmick for what I understand to be a very talented women wrestler. I haven't seen a lot of her. Haven't really watched any NXT, so I don't know what she's done in the past, but pointless gimmick, needs to be dumped. Meanwhile, we had backstage block parties for Memorial Day over in the USA. I don't know why they do these segments. I mean, I know it's a way to get guys on the show. They could just as easily use this time and, like the 50 minutes at the start of the show, use that time for making matches for some of these lower to mid-card guys. Give them a match, create a storyline. You don't have to have them on every week to continue this storyline. Every 2-3 weeks, just use that to make storylines. You'd have a much better product. You'd have more fans tuning in. It's just common sense, really. Use the time you got wisely. They could have had a match on in the time that they had these 3 or 4, maybe 5 backstage segments for this Memorial Day block party. Anyway, next we had Ricochet and Cesaro. Ricochet versus Cesaro. Again, haven't we seen this in the last few weeks already? They brought Ricochet up. They brought Aleister Black up. Tagged them together for a bit. Untagged them. Messed with whatever. They haven't really used these NXT guys wisely that they've brought up in the last couple of months. Need I say more than War Machine, War Raiders, Viking, whatever the hell they're calling them? They'll probably have a new name before you know it. Anyway, some good moves by Ricochet at the end, and I believe Ricochet got the pin. I wasn't really paying attention. Samoa Joe came out just to say that he's ready to take back the US title from Ray from the dodgy finish at Money in the Bank or whatever it was. So he's ready to take that back next week or whatever, I think he said. We had Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley versus The Miz versus Baron Corbin, or Boring Snorbin, as I call him, in a fatal 4-way to crown a challenger against Seth Rollins' Universal title at Super Showdown. why they need to have these Super Showdowns, I don't know. Why they make such a big deal out of them. I went to the Super Showdown in Australia, October last year. I'm Australian. Went over to Melbourne for it last year. Thought it was a unique name for an event down here. I don't know why they need to reuse it. I think they should come up with something else for it. Anyway, Braun versus Lashley versus Miz versus Corbin. Again, haven't we seen this once, twice, 3 times? Maybe not with the exact same guys, but with 1 or 2 of them or whatever in the past few weeks. It's just overkill. Doesn't need to be happening. Give the lower mid-card guys a match. Make a storyline for them. We had Firefly Funhouse. Bray Wyatt, breath of fresh air. Really, the only 2 things that are keeping me watching an eye out on this product currently are Becky Lynch, the man, Becky Lynch, and Bray Wyatt, this new Bray Wyatt character that he's come up with, created. What a breath of fresh air. Bray has come up with this character by himself, from what I can account for. Come up with this character. The storylines, the vignettes, these segments of the Firefly Funhouse are very intriguing. I'm really looking forward to having him come back into the ring with this character, seeing what storylines and concepts, matches he can come up with for this character, hoping that Vince and the rest of the WWE doesn't screw this up like they have for so many other superstars lately. This was Bray Wyatt talking about his secret that he revealed last week of this other side to his persona, evil clown mask character. We don't quite know yet who, what it is, why it's here. So hopefully they don't screw that up in the coming weeks whenever he gets in to wrestle with this character. We also had Sami Zayn next with some electric chair segment. He came out, Corey Graves, with this electric chair that Sami Zayn sat in and took questions from fans in the audience. Essentially, it's just a segment for Sami Zayn to, I suppose, verbally mock the fans with stupidity. Whatever. Again, another segment where the time could have been used for a match, unneeded. And again, a lot of fans are unhappy. A lot of the superstars are unhappy. WWE needs to step up their game. Anyway, out comes Seth Rollins, apparently for a match with Sami Zayn. Don't know why. There's no clear storyline that I've followed. I don't know why they put this here. Pointless, seeing as I don't know. I don't think it was for the title. Could have been used for a lower mid-card match for some of these other guys that aren't being used. Usos tag match Who else have they got there? Oh, I don't know who's left there, who's not there. Frickin' Samoa Joe could have had a match. Orton, where's Orton at the moment? He's meant to be having a match with Triple H at this Saudi Super Showdown. He could be. Is he on Raw? Is he on SmackDown? I don't know. Are they even separating him anymore? Who knows? It's just ridiculous. 20-minute match. Rollins wins. Could have been used for someone else. 3-hour show, and in my estimation, a half to 2/3 of that 3 hours was just utterly wasted. WWE, you really need to step up your game and change, because AEW is coming and they're going to destroy you. I've got no doubt about that. They're going to destroy you. And if they don't, well, then they must be doing something wrong themselves, but they've only just started. We've got a lot to see from them. They've got shows coming up. They're not going to have monthly pay-per-views, which is good. It's another thing that's WWE is doing that doesn't need to be done. You're not making storylines. You're not making credible storylines as it is with these monthly pay-per-views. You know, cut it back, lengthen storylines, increase storylines, make more storylines for these lower to mid-card guys that aren't being used, that need to be used. They need to be getting out there. You've also got NXT talent in NXT. NXT is, from what I've heard, again, I haven't watched a whole lot, NXT is the top brand at the moment of storylines, superstars, characters. Triple H is doing a hell of a job down there. God, he must be so pissed at Vince for ruining these NXT call-ups that he's brought up over the last 6 or so months. What was his name? The guy that they brought up that didn't get used for 4 or 5 months because he was off having freaking panic and anxiety attacks. I can't think of what his name is right now. Just Ricochet, Aleister Black, Lacey Evans, EC3. Where the hell's EC3? He could be making a storyline. Use them. You don't need to keep reusing these same quote-unquote top guys every week. You're just watering them down, killing them, killing the fans' interest. I'm just getting sick of it. I didn't mean to ramble this long, but if you like what I've said, if you agree with what I've said, if you have any comments or ideas of your own, I'd love to read them down in the comments. I don't know, I might do another review next week. I don't know yet. I just watching today's show, just 3-hour show, and over half of that was wasted. And I'm sick of it. I'm just over it. I don't know whether I can continue with it. I don't know. Anyway, if you watch this video, thank you for listening to me ramble. Again, leave a comment, thumbs up, subscribe, like, whatever. I'm new to this, so I don't know what to do. So, thanks guys. See you around from Down Under.